Good morning. Today we are back in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25 through 33. So today we're going to look to the command of men and how we are to love our wives. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, to make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word, and to present her to himself as a radiant church, without stain or wrinkle or any other blemish, but holy and blameless. In this same way, husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. After all, no one ever hated their own body, but they feed and care for their body, just as Christ does the church, for we are members of his body. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. This is a profound mystery, but I am talking about Christ and the church. However, each one of you also must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. So we talked on yesterday, Monday, about wives submitting to their husbands, and he ends with that, right? That this submission looks like a reverence and respect for their husband. But the reason women are able to do this is because the husband loves self-sacrificially. So it's easy to follow and to respect and even to submit to one who you know loves you, to one who you know cares and is interested in your best interest. He has your best interest in mind for the future. And ultimately one that seeks to better and bring you and him closer to the Lord. And so there's a lot more responsibility, we could say, towards husbands here. Now there's a big responsibility to wives. Everyone plays a part, because a wife's disrespectful attitude can often keep her husband from loving his wife in a proper way. And likewise, the husband's unloving attitude can keep the wife from respecting her husband and honoring him and submitting to him in the proper way. However, we're not removed from that obligation just because the other fails to do it. We still have a command and commitment that we're called to do regardless of what the other does. So we must keep that in mind. And often it's when we submit through the unloving times and when we love through the unsubmissive times that the person's heart is softened, especially if one was married to an unbeliever. So that we have to remember that in our actions, that it's not reciprocal. Even though we as humans are reciprocal in how we treat one another, our command by Christ is greater. And let me just point out to the men here, look at the example of Christ, how he loved the church. What did he do? Does he point out her flaws? Does he say, you really got to change this about yourself? No, he died for the church. He died for us while we were yet sinners. And his love and his grace and his mercy changes and transforms us, our heart, and how we love and submit to the Lord. And so we're called to do that to our wives, not to point out all their flaws, not to point out her wrinkles, so to speak, but rather, as he says, present her to himself as a radiant church, without stain or wrinkle or any blemish, but holy and blameless. So we need to start looking at our wives in that way and presenting her in her beauty and magnifying her goodness, so that she will reciprocate and see the beauty that you're pointing out and act in that beautiful way. So there's a call on us as men to bring out the best in our wives, just as there's a call on the wives to bring out the best in their husbands, but it's done in a biblical way, not in a motivational way that we often hear in the world, but by following the scriptural commands here and template, we will really bring out the best in each other and be faithful to one another and to God. Have a blessed day.